stay for about 5 to 8 more breaths. And then you could keep your eyes closed, take another breath in. And then as you exhale, drop your left ear to your left shoulder. And then see if your right elbow can get a little heavier, and that heaviness pulls the right shoulder down. You get that extra stretch through the right side of your neck. Imagine a wall behind you and your back body is on the wall and the back of your head is still on that wall. Take another inhale and exhale. And then gently lift your head back through center. Take a pause here. And sometimes going from side to side fast can make us a bit lightheaded. So take another inhale, center. And now gently go to the other side, right ear to your right shoulder. Allowing the left shoulder to drop heavy. And again, imagine that wall behind you and where you were pressing back body, back of the head into the wall. So you're keeping that alignment through your spine. Another inhale and exhale. And then as you inhale, bring your head gently back through center, pausing here. Imagine your chin being more or less parallel to the ground, and imagine a string pulling the top of the head just a little higher, but it's not lifting your chin, right? It's lifting you through the top of the head as if it was lifting you through the spine all the way to the tailbone. Making a bit more space between those vertebrae, taking another inhale. And exhale. And now here, maybe keeping your eyes closed still, we're now going to lift and lower that chin. So with your next inhale, chin lifts towards the ceiling. And then on your exhale, chin lowers towards your chest, but don't change your shoulders, your upper back. And then do that again. So we're just moving the neck. Inhale, lift the chin. Exhale and lower. Do this with control. So you're building some strength in the neck too. And one more time. Inhale, chin lifts. And exhale, chin lowers. Now the chin is going to come back through center, looking straight forward. Eyes can open. And then let's inhale those arms out into a T. And on the exhale, wrap your right arm across the chest and then bend your elbow and bring the hand to the upper back. And then we're going to use the left hand to draw that elbow in. So your right elbow is bent. Your arm is kind of like a scarf. And you're just wrapping it around you. See if you can feel a stretch through that upper back, right shoulder blade area. And your elbow lifted in line with your shoulder. Take another inhale. And exhale. And now as you breathe in, open up those arms. And we're going to switch. The left arm now crosses, the elbow bends. And the hand comes to that upper back. And once again, we're drawing that elbow in. Breathing in and breathing out. One more. And then inhale, open those arms up and now reach them all the way up towards the ceiling. Interlace your hands, turn the palms towards the ceiling and then get a nice stretch through that side body. So as you reach through your palms, it's almost like your sit bones are beginning to lift. So engage through your legs. If your feet are on the ground, imagine pressing down through the feet. And if your shins are on the ground, press through those shins. Take another inhale. And then on your exhale, your left hand is going to lower. See if it can reach the ground and then reach up and over with your right. Pause here, push the floor away, take an inhale. And an exhale. Now as you inhale, back through center, both arms lift. And then on your exhale, switch. Pushing the floor away with that bottom hand, reaching up and over with the top. And then again, one more time each side. Inhale, exhale, and inhale. And other side, exhale. Now as you inhale, back through center, arms lift, interlace, this time opposite interlace. Palms again towards the ceiling, push them away. And now on your exhale, those palms are going to reach forward. Elbows extended, try and bring them in line with your shoulders, and then draw your shoulder blades back and down. Crown of the head is still reaching high. And then with your inhale, we're going to bring the palms towards us, turn them, and then reach them up towards your chin, and at the same time squeeze your elbows in. And on your exhale, send your palms out. Do that again. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. And exhale. So feeling that stretch through the palms, through the fingers. From here, we're keeping the hands just as they are. We're just going to release fingers. So now open up those arms. Your palms are going to face back. And then on your exhale, bring them forward. The tops of the hands are going to face one another. Do that again. Inhale, open. Exhale, forward. And now inhale, open, and now bring your hands behind you and interlace them at your lower back. So you'll find a bend in your elbows, bring those fingers together, maybe palms touch too, and then straighten those elbows and then open that chest. Feel the stretch through fronts of shoulders, shoulder blades come close together. You could stay here gazing straight forward, or if you feel like it, maybe lift your chin. Try not to strain the back of the neck though. Take another breath. And then as you inhale, release those hands. We're bringing those hands in front of us and we're coming into a table pose. So if you had a pillow or a block, you could move it out of the way for now. And then as you find your table pose, bring those hands more or less under shoulders, those knees more or less under hips. And let's look for that neutral spine, reaching top of the head forward, tailbone back. Engage through that lower belly. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Take an inhale. Take an exhale. And now let's find some cows and cats. Bring your chest forward, dropping that belly, lifting the gaze as you inhale. And then rounding that spine, dropping the head on your exhale. And a few more times, just using your breath, finding that movement through your spine. And I'm finding movement through your arms too. So allow those elbows to bend and straighten. Notice the movement that happens in the hips. Those sit bones kind of spread out and lift as you breathe in into cow. And then they come towards one another and drop as you go into cat. And then let's pause in cow pose and we'll take an exhale, take an extra breath. And then we'll go back into cat and we'll pause in that pose too, taking an extra breath. And then let's come to a neutral spine. Keep pressing through those hands. Remember to press through the fingerprints, to press through the base of your fingers. Try not to load it all on your wrists. And then tuck your toes. Okay, we're going to lift and lower those knees, just hovering them over the mat. So first, a breath in, knees are still down. And then use your exhale to hover those knees just over the mat. Okay, so you're using here your arms, use your legs too and your core. Take another breath in. And with control, exhale, lower those knees. Okay, let's do it again. Inhale here. Exhale, hover your knees. So just above the mat. We're not straightening the legs. We're not changing much here. Take another breath in. Keep pressing the mat away with your hands. Exhale, lower your knees. Last one. Take a breath in. Again, exhale, belly draws to spine, knees hover over the mat. Keep pushing out through your heels. Take another breath, broaden that upper back. And then on your exhale, return those knees to the mat. Okay, so that was a bit of work here. So you might feel a little bit of heat build up. With your next inhale, your right leg is going to go out behind you. And then on your exhale, plant the ball of the foot and push the heel away. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. And then as you inhale, lift that leg, bend that knee, and find some circles with your right knee. So it's your right hip rotating here. Try to keep your ankle stable. In my case, it helps to flex the foot. It keeps the leg a bit more engaged. And then switch direction. And if the leg is engaged, you've got a bit more control over this movement. Take one more breath. And then use your next inhale to straighten that leg all the way out. And on your exhale, lower that knee back to the mat. Untuck the toes if they are tucked. Take a full breath in. And then on your exhale, send your sit bones towards your heels. And then let's give the wrists a little rest here. So you could just allow your hands to rest, bring your elbows to the mat, wiggle your fingers, find a little rotation through the wrists. Or if you want, you could turn the hands so your fingers are pointing towards you. The palms are lifted, the tops of the hands are moving towards the mat, the tops of the wrists are moving away from you. Be gentle with this counter pose. Okay, so don't put too much weight on those hands. That's why you've got your sit bones moving towards your heels. Take a breath in and a breath out. And then let's return onto hands into that table pose. And again, press through fingerprints. So there's a little lift through the middle of your fingers, and then press through the base of your fingers. And then there's a bit of a lift through the center of your palm, and then press through the thumb side and the pinky side. Okay. When you've got this, let's lift that left leg on the inhale. And then on the exhale, plant the ball of the foot, get that stretch through the back of the leg. Use your hands to push the floor away. Push that left heel away from you. Full breath in and full breath out. One more. And then as you inhale, let's lift that left leg, bend that knee, and find your rotations on this side. And once again, control that movement. So sometimes it's easy to kind of let that knee flop down on the kind of the downward part of that circling, letting gravity kind of take over. See if you can control that a bit more, and then switch direction. So slowing it down will mean using a bit more muscle, less momentum. One more inhale. Exhale. And then as you inhale, let's straighten that leg all the way out. Keep pushing through the sole of the foot. And on your exhale, return the knee to the mat, coming back into your table pose. Let's take an inhale, bring the chest forward, gaze up. And then on your exhale, round your spine and come onto your fingertips. Push the floor away with those fingertips and find a bend in all the joints of your fingers. Breathe in. And breathe out. See if you can feel that upper back stretch. One more inhale. And exhale. And then with your next inhale, coming back onto the palms, walk your hands forward a bit. We're going into downward facing dog, tucking those toes, lifting those knees and those hips, dropping the head. Again, this one's a good one here to relax that neck. So see if you can look towards your right armpit. Chin kind of drawing towards that shoulder. And then come back through center, head heavy towards the mat and look over towards your left armpit. And then come back through center. And now look towards your right elbow. And center. And towards your left elbow. And center. And now look all the way to your fingertips. And then all the way to your belly. And now with your next inhale, walk your feet towards your hands towards your feet. And we'll meet in a forward fold as we exhale. Grab opposite elbows. Let's awaken those hamstrings a little bit more. Take a full breath in. On your exhale, bend into your right knee, straighten that left knee. Inhale, straighten the right. Bend into the left. Inhale, straighten. And again, right knee bends, left sit bone lifts up towards the ceiling. Inhale, straighten, and switch. Right hamstring getting the stretch. And now with your next inhale, bend into both knees, coming into a chair pose, reaching your arms up by your ears. Do the best you can to keep your shoulders away from your ears. Take another inhale. Exhale. And then push the floor away, rise all the way up. And then on your exhale, bring those hands behind you. Find now an awkward interlace of your fingers. Bend the elbows and then straighten them as you reach your knuckles down and back. And again, feel that stretch through the front of your shoulders, your chest. Breath in and breath out. One more. With your next inhale, release those hands, reach your arms up. We're going into warrior one. We'll start stepping the left foot back. Planting it, bending into that right knee. Remember to engage your left glute here, and your left foot is a bit at an angle, but more towards the front of your mat than towards the outer edge of your mat. Bring hands to your heart for a moment as you set your base. Wiggle your toes, then spread them out, and then drop them softly onto your mat. So you even out the weight between all the toes, between the front and the back of the foot, and then between both feet. Okay, so if you notice that you're leaning more into that front leg, see if you can bring some weight into the back foot. Now, once we've got that stable stance, inhale, reach your arms up. And then on your exhale, wrap your right hand around your left wrist and pull that left wrist up first, and then take it over towards your right. But you're not changing your legs, so you've got to press a bit more through that back foot. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. Remember to keep that lower belly engaged so you're not dropping into your lower back. And that left glute engaged too. One more inhale. And exhale. And then as you inhale, back through center, release the wrists, bring those hands behind you. Interlace them, lengthen up. And on your exhale, we're hinging forward. Reach that chest forward and down. So again, that left foot stays well planted. Take a full breath in, gaze straight down at your front toes. Full breath out. Another inhale and exhale. And now as you inhale, bring yourself back, arms lift. And on your exhale, another one more with those shoulders. Bend your left elbow, drop the hand behind your head, and then use your right hand to draw that left elbow in towards your head, and then resist with your head. So you're pushing back into that elbow. So again, you're strengthening muscles in the neck as you do this. And so it's not only a passive stretch, it's an active stretch. Breath in and breath out. With your next inhale, those arms are going to lift. And now on your exhale, we're stepping forward. So notice that transition. Bring weight into that front foot. And if you need to take 2 steps, do them intentionally. And then we'll meet mountain pose, top of the mat. Bring hands to your heart. Give your wrists a little rotation. So your palms are going to stay together. The elbows and wrists are going to stay in line. And then we're going to send those fingers away from us. And then down, and then up, and then towards us. And it's just like that a couple more times. Try not to lift your shoulders so they stay down. And one more. And then from here, release, reach your arms once again towards the ceiling, and on your exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back, downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, bring your feet a little wider and make it a bit shorter. So you might step your feet a bit closer to your hands. Ideally, the whole foot now is planted on the ground, and you can place more weight in your legs than your arms. Okay, so see if this works for you. And then if you've got that, you might be able to drop the chest a bit more towards the floor. So it becomes a bit more of a back bend with the legs wide and closer to the chest or to the hands, because you don't have to put as much weight into your arms. You've got more weight in your legs and your heels. And then the chest can relax a bit more towards the mat. One more breath. And then from here, return to your usual down dog. So step your feet back, bring the feet hip width, and now notice that you've got to press a bit more through those hands. You've got to find a bit more action through that upper body. And now the chest is not dropping towards the floor. It's more drawing towards your thighs. One more breath. And then with your next inhale, come out into a plank pose. So now again, that upper back is active. Push the floor away with your hands. Engage through your legs. Take another inhale. And as you exhale, lower your knees, and we're going to come down to the mat. So keep your elbows close to the body as you bend your elbows, and with control, lower your chest before your belly, or at the same time. And then once you've got everything on the mat, front of the body is on the mat, we're going to move into Cobra. So your hands are more or less under your shoulders. Your elbows stay by your rib cage. Your gaze stays down. And then we'll use the inhale just to lift the chest off the mat. And then with the exhale, we'll lower. And let's do that a couple more times. Use your legs. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Engage through your glutes. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Last one. Inhale, lift. And now on your exhale, push through your all fours, hands and knees. Tuck your toes and return to downward facing dog. Breath in. Breath out. With your inhale, feet and hands are coming together, walking them forward, hands walking towards the feet. Find your forward fold. Grab opposite elbows, allow the head to hang. See if you can send those sit bones just a little higher, giving those hamstrings that extra stretch. Your knees could be bent, okay? So you still could have your knees bent and get that nice stretch through the hamstrings. Press down through the heels and lift your sit bones. One more breath. And then on your inhale, deep bend in those knees, reach your arms forward and up by your ears, coming into chair. Pausing here. If you're keeping your arms lifted, try to keep your shoulders down. Take another breath in. Breath out. And then push the floor away, reach those arms all the way up. And on your exhale, once again, bring those hands behind you. You could switch your interlace and find that opening through your chest. Full breath in. And full breath out. So we're going to find our warrior ones on the other side now. So when you're ready, release those hands, reach your arms up. And then on your exhale, it's your right leg that's going to step back. Planting that back foot and taking your time to set yourself up here. Okay. So you can play with the distance between your feet. Remember to have them on tracks, 1 foot on each track so that you feel stable and you can keep your hips pointing straight forward. And then this can get into a bit of a back bend here. So draw belly to spine and engage the glutes. And then lift so that you can find space in the lower back. And then once that base is set, reach your arms up on the inhale. And then as you exhale, your left hand is going to wrap around the right wrist. And then we're going to pull that right wrist up first. And then we can take it over to the left. No change in the legs though. Breathing in. And breathing out. And then returning through center. And on the exhale, release that wrist and then bring those hands behind you. Find an awkward interlace. Once again, open that chest. And then when you're ready, maybe feel free to stay lifted if you wish. If not, hinge at your hip and come forward and down. So the tension here now is between that back foot and the top of the head. So you're reaching forward and you're pressing down. And between the top of the head and the back, or the hands, knuckles reaching back, top of the head reaching forward. Breath in. Breath out. With your next inhale, we're rising up, reaching those arms up. One more stretch for those shoulders. The right hand now drops behind the head, so elbow is pointing straight up. And then the left hand draws the elbow in. And remember, resist with your head. Push the head back into that elbow. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more. And then as you inhale, those arms are lifting. And we're going to step forward. Bring weight into that front leg. And then step and plant. Mountain pose. Hands rest at your heart. Breath in. And breath out. So this time, bring the tops of the hands to touch. So your fingers can be pointing down to start with. Try to keep your elbows in line with your wrists and then shoulders away from your ears. And we'll do a similar movement we did before with the palms, but now with the tops of the hands. So when you're ready, send your fingers away from you and then towards you. And do that a couple more times. And then return through center and let your arms drop by your side. Palms are facing forward. And now engage through those legs. See if you can reach through the crown of the head just a bit higher. Engage through glutes, your thighs, lower belly. Push the floor away. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. And then use your inhale to reach those arms up. And on your exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift. And exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back, and downward facing dog. breath in. And this time on your exhale, we're going to lower the knees. Okay, keep your hands where they are. We're going to walk them forward actually, but first make sure that your hips and your knees are in line. And then from here, bring your hands a bit wider and then walk them forward. And as you walk them forward, your forearms will come closer to the ground, your elbows might rest on the ground, and your chest will drop towards the mat. If the forehead reaches the ground, you could rest there. If you need a pillow or a block, you could find that so that your head is supported. And then what you want to try and do is to find opening through your armpits and through your chest. So right now, kind of heaviness through the center of your chest, pulling towards the ground. Your sit bones are still lifting up. Your hips are still in line with your knees. We'll take about 3 to 5 breaths. Sometimes if you're really close to the ground and your forehead is on the ground, the nose sometimes kind of gets in the way. So you could turn your face to the side. That might also feel good. And if you turn it to the side, then just do the other side too. Let's take one more breath. And then with the next inhale, we'll come back onto the belly. So this time we're going to go into a cobra, but with those arms extended. So just be careful with that lower back here and just take it to where it works for you. Okay. So the hands are going to kind of be out in front of us and wide. So kind of reference could be the corners or the upper corners of your mat. Okay. So you could plant one hand on each corner. And then from here, you can start with your elbows planted and begin to lift your chest. Remember to engage through legs here. So your legs are helping you. They're not just passive. Okay. And then you could stay. Keep opening chest, keep reaching up through top of the head, or you can begin to push the floor away, lifting your elbows, straightening your arms. Okay? So just cautious with that lower back. Don't get it too compressed. Make sure that you're engaging through glutes, through legs, and feel that opening through the front of the body. Breath in. And breath out. One more inhale. And then on your exhale, slowly with control, lower that chest all the way down. And we're going to bring those forearms in front of us, grab opposite elbows, rest your forehead on those forearms, and then feel your legs relax. So heels drop out, the back of your hips broadens, and then wiggle your hips from side to side. So we're releasing any compression in that lower back. And you could do it with your legs down, or you could try lifting your feet. So you're bending your knees, your feet are pointing up towards the ceiling, and just dropping the feet from side to side. So that makes it just a bit more obvious movement in that lower back. Okay. So just see how it feels. Breath in and breath out. If you had your feet lifted, let's bring them back through center. Let's straighten out those legs once again. And then let's bring those hands under shoulders, and we're going to make our way into a child's pose. Okay, so bring the big toes to touch, and you choose here the amount of distance that you want between your knees. The wider the knees, the more of a neutral spine in your child's pose. The closer the knees are together, more of a rounded spine. So sometimes after back bends, and if you're feeling it in your lower back, knees together might give you more of a counter pose because it rounds the spine, so it restores some space in that lower back. So you could try that, but feel free to bring your knees wider if you need to. And we'll take 5 breaths. If you were feeling it in that lower back, concentrate your inhales into that area, meaning that expansion is emphasizing space in the lower back, mid-back, space between shoulder blades. One more inhale and exhale. And then with your next inhale, begin to lift your spine. And now here, just a suggestion to play with, see if it might work for you today. See if you can plant your hands kind of close to your thighs, maybe mid-thighs or so. And then you're going to put weight into your hands. The tops of your feet are on the mat. And you're going to lift your knees, put weight into your hands, and then see if you can roll over your toes and come kind of into like a low squat here. And then come again over the toes, bring weight into your hands, and come again onto the tops of the feet, shins and knees. So a couple more times like that. Put weight into your hands, lift those hips, those knees, roll over the toes, come into that little squat. And then again, come forward, weight into hands, roll over the toes onto tops, feet, shins, and knees. And now one more time, we're going to lift, roll over toes, come onto the feet. And then from here, you could bring your hands behind you, and then help those sit bones come all the way down onto the mat. Okay. So if you can do that, it's kind of a nice massage for the toes, but it's also kind of core work and strengthen your arms. So we might do that again sometime. Okay, so make sure you've got some space behind you, your block nearby, and we're going to make our way down. So let's bring those arms in front of us, press those toes into the mat, take a full breath in, lift. On your exhale, come halfway down. Take another inhale, lift that chest, and then on your exhale, come all the way down onto the mat. And then from here, just bring your right knee in and hug it in towards your chest. Your left knee can stay bent, left foot planted. And then draw your right knee towards your right armpit. See if you can feel broadening through that lower back. Press your left kind of sit bone or left side of your hips into the mat. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. And then let's switch, release that right foot, knee can stay bent, plant the foot, and now bring your left knee in towards your chest. And then open it up towards the left armpit. And again, press that right side of the sacrum, the lower back, towards the mat. So if that means that your right knee kind of splays out a bit, let it do that. Breath in. And breath out. And then let's release that left foot, both feet planted. We're going into a bridge pose, but we're going to do it with the block. And this time the block's going to be between the knees. So you've got to find kind of the position for your block that will have your knees or will allow your knees to stay more or less hip width. Okay, so don't probably not the longest edge between the knees. It's probably kind of like the middle position. Or even the narrowest one, maybe. Actually, I think the narrowest one might be the best here. Your heels more or less, or ankles more or less under your knees, and then your block between your knees, and you pushing into the block with your legs. Okay. Then your arms are going to be by your side, gaze down the midline. We're going to lift and lower the hips, and we need to keep the block where it is, so keep pushing into the block with your legs. When you're ready, inhale, lift those hips. And then exhale, lower. And again, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Use your glutes here. Inhale, lift, squeeze the glutes, squeeze into the block with your knees, with your legs. Exhale, lower. And now this time we're going to lift and hold. So keeping the legs just as they are, with your next inhale, see if you can lift your arms overhead, palms facing up. And then on your exhale, lower those arms, bring them down by your side. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, lower. And inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Last one. Inhale, arms lift. Reach them above the head. And then on your exhale, as your arms lower, with control, lower your hips too. Block is still between those knees. See if you can push your lower back into the mat. See if you can draw your chin slightly towards your chest as you reach the crown of the head just a little further back. Take a breath in and a breath out. And then from here, take your block, have it still in your hand. This time on the inhale, we're going to lift the hips and we're going to slide the block under the sacrum. And on your exhale, just allow your sacrum to rest onto that block, supported, comfortable. If a block is not comfortable, sometimes a pillow. But if just having anything under the sacrum right now doesn't feel good, you could just allow those hips to rest on the ground. Okay. We're going to inhale and lift the right knee towards the chest. Pausing here, you can use your hands or you could leave your hands on the ground. Breath in, breath out. And then you could do one leg at a time. So you could lower the right foot and then bring your left knee in. Or if the sacrum feels stable, those hips are stable on the block, bring both knees in. And then just like we did last week, you could stay here, knees over hips. It's more of a supported, more restful pose. Or if you can keep your knees and hips in line, lift your feet, ankles, knees and hips will now be stacked. Your hands could help your legs stay up, or you could rest your hands on your belly or by your side. See if you can soften through the feet, through the toes, through your ankles, and even a little softness in your knees, so allow a little bend. Allow your legs to be heavy, and then the heaviness of your legs drops into your hips, and then that drops your hips into the block, and that drops the block into the earth. Breathing in and breathing out. And see if having the legs up transfers into some softness in the jaw and the eyes. Can you relax that upper body? It's supported by the ground, so it can afford to relax some. One more breath. And then if your legs are lifted, gently, slowly, we'll lower them down. So if your legs are extended, bend the knees first. And then lower one foot at a time. So you're coming back into that bridge pose, supported still by the block. Take a breath in and a breath out. And then from here on the inhale, we'll lift those hips off the block. You can take the block out of the way. Give those hip flexors a little extra stretch, so maybe lift them a little higher. And then we're going to lower those hips back down, but we're lengthening that lower back. So remember, reach the sit bones towards your heels as you lower all the way to the mat. And then once you get here, pause for a moment, let your knees rest against one another. Feel that lower back come back to the mat. Take a breath in, a breath out. And then depending on how that lower back is feeling, you might want a little release. If that's the case, here are some options. You could just shift gently those knees from side to side, or you could do that, one knee towards the chest, one at a time, and push that lower back into the mat. Just do a little exploration here and see how it feels in your body. And see the effects of the previous pose, so those bridge poses on that lower back. And then see the effects of these other movements on that lower back. We'll take about 5 breaths. And then eventually make your way into stillness. So for that, find the most comfortable position for your body at this moment. And if you're lengthening your limbs out, do it intentionally. So see if you can reach even a little further through your heels, through your fingers. And then as you reach, there might be parts of the body that lift. And then when you stop reaching, there might be parts of the body that kind of return in and drop down. So allow that to happen. And then see if you can find softness. No more reaching. See if you can just be where you're at. Not trying to be somewhere else or to find any other sensation. See if you can pause where you're at and see what is there. So less doing now. Breath just becomes automatic. Involuntary movements take a moment to rest, to pause. And sometimes when the physical body quiets, the mind gets busy. Not always, but it might happen. So thoughts might start coming in. So see if you can notice that. So rather than being immersed in the middle of the thoughts, see if you can find some distance and watch those thoughts. And now just gently returning that attention to your breath. And then gently finding once again some movement in your fingers, in your toes, your ankles, your wrists. Maybe the neck moves gently from side to side. Maybe you take a swallow, maybe your eyeballs move under eyelids. And then as you are ready, roll onto one side if you were on your back, bringing those knees towards your chest, using your arms to support your head. And before you move on, can you give yourself a breath in and a breath out? And we'll make our way up into a seat. We'll meet there with hands resting at heart. And we'll close practice first by acknowledging the practice, and then by acknowledging ourselves for practicing, then acknowledging all those that practiced with us today and any other time, and then all those that make it possible, and ending with a word that means that the light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste.